so many buckets of these things now, and so, you know, just kind of interesting. I mean, we can work our way through a little bit. I don't know if there's any more of it. It's like, shit, that's, doesn't matter. Anyway, what it did do, the reason why actually Jennifer Lopez has got some of this stuff, some of the others haven't, but I think it's sort of suddenly, we'd had my Elizabeth Taylor thing, but that was just a sort of a one-off. And then with the thing with Madonna, and because my name was out there, so suddenly there was something, so instead of like anonymous jeweller, they're not going to write that, but Stephen Webster, they put it down. He stopped in Neiman Marcus, stopped in Saks Fifth Avenue, Bergdorf Goodman's, and that's the sort of thing that the magazines and everyone need. And then all the stylists in there, they want to know what's going on, they don't want to miss out, so they start to come around, and that's how I sort of connected into this crowd, and you know, it never stops really, because once you're in it, you're in it, and the mystery is getting into it, but then when you're in it, you're sort of on the radar. And I think for me, it was sort of Madonna at that time. That particular ring was very, very. It was all the planets lined up basically. So and it did a lot for our business. It started, you know, each stage, your business keeps growing. It kept growing, and it's still predominantly in America. But by then, people were taking notice over here. And funny enough, actually, the first place in Britain that gave me a one-man show was Garrard, so I have this kind of old link back to Garrard, and to me that was sort of the establishment is giving me a show, and I think the guy who was the managing director at the time is now really one of my very close friends, and you know, he would say, everything that we stood for, you know, it was well made, it was exciting, it was British, you know, was what we wanted to be a platform for. So in a way it kind of made sense. They didn't want to be that, you know, we're Garrard with the crown jewels and we're stuffy. It was like, we've got that side to us, but also we can offer a platform to something that's more exciting. And to be honest, they did it mainly with silversmiths, because that was much more their strength, but I was a jeweller, so anyway, things started to happen, and we were getting out there, and then something else happened after that. The Russians came. They came in through Poland, actually, and up through that way, and that was amazing, really. I think there was all this sort of, no one really knew much about Russians, did they? I mean, I'm married to one, so I know a lot about Russians, but I wasn't then. And I met my wife in the Goldsmiths Hall, and she was loitering. And I was with my father, and my father kept talking to her about the war. She was 23. Anyway, they came, and there was this amazing thing. It's like now I think everybody accepts, like, right, we've got Russians and stuff, whatever, but 17, 18 years ago, it's like, the Russians, they're communists. And, but the thing with them was, we'd all been fed that, you know, they would do anything for a pair of Levi's, right? Well, they fucking wouldn't, but they would for a pair of Christian Louboutins. I mean, my wife, I swear blind, she'd never seen a banana till she was 18, and then the minute that wall came down, they're straight in Louis Vuitton, they're Christian Louboutin, they become the best clients. She said, how did these people know all this stuff? We don't know anything. You know, the English, we're rubbish at luxury. They knew it instantly, and it still fascinates me, because they know everything. It's like, you go into their houses, they've got fashion TV on in every room, right? They know everything. You can never con them that this is this season, if it's last season, they know everything. And so they sort of entered my life. I married one. And it was quite extraordinary, because my wife used to wear all my jewellery, and at first she was like, she just had never had jewellery really, so I remember making her a pair of rings. They were tiny, and she went, oh my god, they're massive. You wait till you see what's coming. Anyway, so that was the jewellery. But she used to wear all the, I can't believe I said that. Stop me. So she used to wear the jewellery, and her friends, they'd love it, but they wouldn't wear it because they hadn't quite reached the point where they were confident enough as a consumer to buy things that weren't the brands. You had to be. If it was jewellery, it had to be Graf. If it was a diamond, it had to be Cartier, it had to be Bulgari, it had to be, you know, whatever. They weren't going to buy Steve Webster because no one would know the value of it. And it was very, very strange. So I think for probably about 7 or 8 years, we just accepted, go, well, you know, okay, I've got a Russian wife, I don't really have any Russian clients, my business is now, you know, it's America, a bit of England, but I just saw the spending that was going on, it was crazy. And then suddenly, I'm having a pizza one day with someone my wife went to school with, and she says, I'm going to open a store in Moscow, Stephen Webster store. So we said, okay, brilliant, and she did. And I took 20 of my mates out for the opening, and we all flew over there, and oh my God, it was fantastic. It was about 100 totally glamorous, amazing women. Downstairs was about 200 big, fat bodyguards, all there smoking away, because everyone has 2 bodyguards, because it's much, much more chic than having one. And I forgot my underpants once I went to Moscow, and my partner, Galina, who I'm talking about, she says, don't worry, you know, Boris and Igor will go with you. I'm like, I don't need anybody. So I said, oh no, I'm just going over the road. There's a Zoom department store, it's like Selfridges, and I'm going to go there, and they're with me. So I'm like going through the, you know, the wife fronts, and I've got my 2 bodyguards either side of me. Anyway, it's a bit like that. So, but and anyway, we opened the store, and we had a glamorous party, and we all then went to a nightclub, and then later the salespeople came back, and they said, we sold 1/3 of the whole store. And I was like, wow, 1/3 of the whole store. People come to openings in England, they get drunk, they don't even know where they are, they don't buy anything. They say, well, what did you think? It's like, you know, they want to wish us luck. It's a whole different sort of mentality. So it was very, very exciting, and that started a sort of the next chapter, if you like, of our story, where, you know, the business nowadays, I've got about 7 or 8 stores in Russia. I've got 3 in Moscow, St. Petersburg, in the Ukraine. I've got 1 in Siberia, and that, you know, that all built out of this. They just were ready. They were ready to buy something that wasn't obvious, and it's very important. Certainly the way the world is right now, that, you know, whenever someone's got money new, so you could say, I mean, I know the Chinese is not new, but really the buy-in that's going on from the Chinese is very, very focused on the brands that they're fed. They're not really yet experimenting too much. You might get the odd one, but not really. And that's what happened. So anyway, the Russians were ready, and we, you know, we've got a big business out there now. It's nearly 40% of my business, and you know, it's amazing. I show in Basel. You know, we've shown in Basel for about 12 years or so, and you know, I remember hearing the first Russian accent. I think, oh my God, the Russians are here. You know, I mean, I was married to one, but it just wasn't happening. And then now, I mean, our booth, we have a big booth, we have like full on, we're the biggest British jewellery brand in Basel, and I reckon it's like 75% of it is all Russian accents. They're from all, I mean, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, you know, it's not all Russia, but they all speak Russian. The Baltic states, and like I say, Siberia, and it's huge, huge territory, and some of it's very oil rich. You know, I just did a big event in Azerbaijan, and it's crazy. You know, they've got so much money, and they're excited that they can spend their own money, and they're all corrupt. Bloody wonderful. No, nothing politically correct. They all sit around smoking cigars, and anyway, yeah. So, but it's all Russian territory, and for us, it started by having a Russian wife, but kind of you know, it was just happened to be, again, it was this sort of right time, right moment. Now lots and lots and lots of brands, and lots of brands that I'm sure you know, that are not like your big brands, but they sell in Russia, but we were like the first of that non-Cartier, Van Cleef type business.